Hi folks, Job Lot Comics here. We're having a look at an old Charlton Bronze Age book. This is Ghostly Tales. This is not one that I'm incredibly familiar with. I know Ghost Manor, and I know Monster Hunters, and I know Baron Werewolf's Haunted Library, and I even know Haunted Love, but Ghostly Tales is a bit of a new one for me for such an old comic book. And it starts off quite strong here because obviously Joe Gill's writing it, but you've got Steve Ditko doing the art, and this is 1973, and he's been away from Marvel for a wee bit and refusing to work with them anymore. There's the Indicia, and he's just probably having a blast because there's no editorial content really over at Charlton, so the writers and the artists could pretty much do their own thing, and you can see that Ditko's stuff's still just brilliant, and you can still see shades of Doctor Strange and different things going on with this comic strip here. And it was obviously, the rates at Charlton were never really that good. But for certain artists and writers, and let's face it, a lot of them did get their start here, they didn't care because they could pretty much do their own thing with it. And Charlton just wanted to keep those presses running. They weren't really that bothered about the sort of content or even the quality of what they were putting out. Charlton always on that cheap pulpy paper that we love. But you can't really argue with these old Charlton books when you see this kind of talent on board with them. This looks like an old kind of Edgar Allan Poe type story that's going on here. There we go. But yeah, so that was the first story there. Here's another one. And you see Joe Staton, who is a stalwart at Charlton Comics, doing the art here. And it's every bit as good as Ditko's. You can see Staton hasn't quite refined his style for this story. One of my favourite Charlton books ever was E-Man, which had a great long life. Even at other companies, and it was Joe Staton who was a huge contributor to E-Man. I think there's a video on the channel of my E-Man books from Charlton. Crikey, Miracle Man. How can that be? In 1973? And then we've got the third story here, and it's The Verdict. Have we got any credits on this? I imagine, once again, it'd be Joe Gill. Who's doing this artwork? Come on, gang. Somebody out there must know. There's the host for this comic who introduces the short stories. And maybe get a signature at the end. No. If you know who drew that one, let me know. Hey, did you never finish high school? What are you, some kind of meatball? So there you go, that's Charlton. There we go. All new stuff. Great painted cover. There you go. So I hope you enjoyed looking at that. I like these old Charlton ghost comics. In fact, I like all old 60s and 70s horror stuff, even Marvels and DC stuff. If you do see these, pick them up, because let me tell you something, there's still collectors for this kind of stuff out there. People love them. So if you see them cheap, like for 50p or a buck, or even $1.50, $2, grab them. They're worth it. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, why don't you subscribe to my channel? See you in the next one.